In the last video I showed you how to find the greatest common factor and least common multiple of two numbers, and we talked about the reason why you would want to know the greatest common factor would be to simplify a fraction in one step, and the most common use for a least common multiple is that if you're adding or subtracting fractions, your least common multiple is also your lowest common denominator. So let's try finding. Use this Venn diagram method to find the least common multiple and greatest common factor of three numbers: 9, 12, and 15. We're going to start out the same way we did with two numbers. First of all, we'll designate each of these circles. This will be 9, prime factors of 9. This will be the prime factors of 12. And this bottom circle will be the prime factors of 15. So we'll do a factor tree for each of these. Starting with 9, factors of 9 are 3 times 3. And those are both primes, so I'll circle them both because we're done with that factor tree. 12, we could do it a couple different ways, but we'll end up with the same answer either way. Let's do 6 times 2. 2 is prime, so I circle it. Factors of 6, 3 times 2, both prime, so I circle them both. And then for 15, we have 5 times 3, both prime, so circle them. Okay, now I'm going to place my prime factors in my Venn diagram. First thing I'm going to look for is this center section. Any prime factors that are shared by all three numbers. So looking at my factor trees, I see that all three, 9, 12, and 15, all share a factor of 3. So I cross a 3 off each tree, and I place a 3 in the center because it's shared by all three numbers. That prime factor is shared by all three numbers. Now I'm looking for another factor that's shared by all three numbers. I have a prime factor of 3 for 9 that's left. I have two 2's for 12 and I have a 5 for 15. So it doesn't look like any of these numbers share any more prime factors. It might be possible that two of your numbers would share a factor but not the third, and in that case you would put it in between the two. Like in this section, if 9 and 12 shared one more factor but 15 did not, you would put it in between 9 and 12 like we did in class. But in this case, these three numbers, there are no more factors that are shared, so this factor of 3 for 9 will go here. The two 2's for 12, cross them off, and they both go here. They're not shared by either 9 or 15. And this last prime factor of 5 for 15 would go right here. We're going to find the GCF and LCM the same way we did in the other video. The greatest common factor is the product of the factors that are shared by all three numbers. In this case, there's only one factor that's shared by all three numbers, and that's 3, so that is the greatest common factor. If there were more than one prime factor in this section, we would multiply them together, and the product of those factors would be our greatest common factor. LCM is found the same way we did with two numbers. Once we've placed all of our prime factors correctly, we multiply them all together, and I forgot one key step. We're supposed to check our work before we start multiplying anything. So let me check my 9 circle. I'm looking just at this circle for 9. And all the numbers in that circle should multiply together to 9. 3 times 3 is 9, so that's correct. Now I'm going to focus on this 12 circle. All the prime factors I've placed in there should multiply to 12. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, so that circle checks out. Now I'm going to focus on this bottom circle. All the prime factors I've placed in this bottom circle should multiply to 15. Should have a product of 15. 3 times 5 is 15. So all three circles do check out. Now we can calculate our least common multiple. It will be the product of all the prime factors after they've been placed in the Venn diagram. So 3 times 3 is 9. Times 2 is 18. Times 2 is 36. And 36 times 5 is 180. So our LCM is 180. The least common multiple of 9, 12, and 15 would be 180. So now you've seen how to find the greatest common factor and least common multiple of two numbers and three numbers using the Venn diagram method.